Was the report last night. And then this morning, Dave Burkett from the Free Press reached out to Bob Quinn, the Lions general manager, and Bob Quinn called those reports 100% false.
Which I expected him to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, when we pointed out earlier, Kelly Stafford and Hank Winchester, help me Hank, who works at Channel 4, are very good friends, and we're not going where we shouldn't be going because she posts pictures. They've done stories together. He hangs with the kids a great deal. They're very close to the Stafford family. Hank Winchester is.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow her on Instagram, it's not a secret,
right?
And when Kelly went through her medical issues last year, the first real interview that she did afterwards, along with Matthew, was with Hank Winchester. I mean, and that was not a coincidence.
No.
So it leads one to believe that sources close to Matthew Stafford, that's the source,
correct,
and that she told Hank, and Hank told Bernie, and there we are.
Now, what Bernie says the confirmed, sources
close
to
the
the
Detroit
Lions. I wonder, obviously I'm not going to find out. We won't find out who that
Bernie, who's your source?
Yeah, but I trust him that he's not making it up. Somebody pretty high up is telling him this.
Right. Bernie was one of those who reported that Brad Ausmus was out a few years ago, and it ended up being a couple years before he was out. But he obviously knew somebody high up in the Detroit Tigers organization who was under the impression that Brad Ausmus was out.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, I think Brad Ausmus and Al Avila said, whoa, wait a minute. That's our decision,
right,
not yours. And that led to a bit of not a power play within the organization, but Al Avila said, look, it's my decision. And he decided to keep Ausmus for what it turned out to be, I think, 2 more years after that before Brad was let go. So, again, you've known Bernie forever.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to go on the air and just make stuff up.
Correct.
So there are people who are in the know who are telling them this. And then the question becomes, if it's not true, why are they telling him? As Lions fans, I think the general reaction is, ooh, because it's something interesting. And for the people who are kind of just not done with Matthew Stafford in the sense of, oh, he's awful, but more just like, you know what? Like Wojo had a column a couple weeks ago. Draft Tua. Dude, I mean, do something. It's time to...
We want this team to be bold.
Be bold, but also, you know what, make a fresh approach or something like that. And is that necessarily a sound way of doing business in the National Football League? No. But let's face it, every other form of business the Lions have tried has not necessarily worked.
No.
And can they improve at the quarterback position? Probably not in 2020, but maybe beyond that they can.
Right.
And so I would hope that every option is on the table.
Yes, that's as it should be. And the Lions, I think Bob Quinn is correct by denying it. Using 100% false, maybe a little strong, but he should, that's fine because I believe that, yes, they are talking.
Well, maybe they've been talking for months and not weeks.
Yes.
And so that's what's false. Or maybe they've been talking for days and not weeks. And so that's what's false. Maybe he's parsing words. But I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't expect him to come out and say, it's true. I mean, the funny thing is we have Avila here in town who basically over the last couple of seasons on multiple occasions it says, we're open for business.
Yes.
We want to trade Nick, but it's weird. We got no takers. It's like, Al, maybe you don't broadcast that even though everybody knows you want to trade Nick Castellanos.
Exactly.
If the right offer comes along, I would hope the Lions would look to trade Matthew Stafford. But, Dave Burkett of the Free Press, who initially did text with Quinn, we had him on about an hour ago, and he laid out all of the reasons, both financial and also the thing we've only touched on a couple times this morning, and that is mandate, if you want to call it that, to win in 2020.
Right. Now, look, if the Lions would do something like that, if Quinn would pull something like this off, knowing that if they have a horrible season, it could mean, the end of the line for him and Patricia, I would give them tons of credit for that. For just saying,
I
what,
would too.
I'm looking at the organization. I'm not looking at us.
Right.
And I don't expect them to do that. Do you?
To do what?
You got to cover your ass too, to a certain extent.
Yeah, but we've talked about this. I think that mandate is a little bit overstated.
Yeah,
I think again,
let's
say Quinn and Patricia are enamored with Tua, and they think he can be Mahomes 2.0. If they go into the Fords and say, listen, will this help us this fall? It might not, but you watched the Super Bowl, didn't you? That's what we need here.
Right.
I think the Fords would be understanding, and I think they would probably relent a bit on that whole thing.
I just think they're creating smoke. It started at the Senior Bowl, and it continues to to build and build, and they're just trying to say, well, we're just showing a bunch of different cards at how we may take Tua to put the threat out there so that teams can jump to 2, and then Chase Young can follow them. I think that's their number one dream scenario, and they're trying to manipulate in every way they can. And even if they this continues to just percolate a little bit, and then let's say they can't move Stafford, that they'll continue to put out there that they will draft Tua. I mean, Quinn said Tua's draftable. He's already said that. Yeah. So at the Senior Bowl. So I just think this is, they're trying to do every way, a million different scenarios just to force somebody to trade up.
We're also assuming that, if they do, 1 and 2 are quarterbacks, that they would take Chase Young at 3. That, I mean, if Snack's not coming back, maybe. Ashawn's gone as a free agent. They may feel that they need somebody up the middle, like Derek Brown from Auburn.
Well, and that's why I think they're trying to create this illusion now. They want this quarterback thing to be settled. They want a team to trade to 2 before free agency begins, so then they know how to attack free agency.
Let's go to Brad in Monroe on 97.1 The Ticket. Hey, Brad.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good.
I love this scenario. It opens up so many options. Obviously, first and foremost, if Tua is there at 3, you take him. But even if somebody moves up, then Chase Young falls to you. For Stafford, what kind of a pick do you think you could get trading Stafford?
It depends on what team. I think you could definitely, obviously, you'd have to get it at number 1. And
okay.
You're looking at the Chargers, who have the 6th pick. You could do that. I would take the 6th pick and maybe a 3rd for Matthew Stafford.
If you end up drafting Tua, there's going to be several veteran quarterbacks that kind of are looking for prove-it deals. You've got a James, sign him to a 2-year contract with the understanding that, the first year it's yours starting out because our young draft pick has to heal up. Personally, I think a guy that I'd love to see them sign just on the right contract, Alex Smith. But if you draft Tua, you can't really sign Alex Smith because then you've got 2 quarterbacks and 2 legs, possibly.
Well, I don't think Alex Smith is going to be healthy to play this year, is he?
Well, and I don't know how that's coming along, but there's going to be several options out of there. And if somebody trades into number 2, because I know I heard the report that the Bears were talking Khalil, or there was a rumor Khalil Mack for the number 2 pick, well, then you get Chase Young, and there's other young quarterbacks that I think have a chance to, obviously not Tua's future, but I personally like Jalen Hurts. I know he came up short there in the BCS game, but I mean that guy has succeeded anywhere that he's gone.
Jalen Hurts is like a late 2nd, 3rd round pick.
I mean you can get them later and then sign more of a solid veteran choice. I think it opens up so many options for them.
All right, Brad, thanks for the phone call. It's 9:31. Jamie and Stoney, 97.1 The Ticket. David.